Welcome to this HEM Education Marketing Solutions webinar, Staying Ahead in 2025, Top Education Digital Marketing Strategies for Success in the Year to Come. My name is Scott Cross. I am overseeing our work and our clients in North America, Canada, US, and Mexico. And if you're not familiar with HEM, we are a digital marketing company that focuses exclusively on serving the education sector. We serve all types of schools, K to 12, vocational schools, business schools, undergraduate, graduate, language schools, public and private, big and small. We serve schools around the world and in multiple languages. Our focus on this sector is really based on what we understand of the sector itself, meaning we get you. We know that attracting, engaging a prospective student online and helping to nurture that prospect from the earliest stages of consideration through decision, through applying, and then ultimately attending your school. What's involved online is uniquely different from any other e-commerce out there. We totally get that. We've been doing it. We're now in our 16th year. I think just wrapping up our 16th year. So all of the services you see at the bullet points there, these are each of the services we offer. And we have a team that focuses on each one. That team together helped to put together this content here, along with our in-house marketing team. So this is a product of who HEM is and what we have to offer for you. A couple of housekeeping tips. This webinar is being recorded. So the good news is on that, you will receive a recording of this either tomorrow or tomorrow or Monday in your email. You'll receive an email with the recording of the webinar and the deck, your ability to download the deck so you don't need to get through it and take notes. Also, we're going to keep your mics on mute for the webinar. That allows me to get through the content. If you have a question in the process of the webinar, type it in the Q&A prompt in your Zoom menu bar. So type in your questions at any time during the webinar. And then at the end, I'll open that up. I'll see all your questions and I'll answer as many as we have time for. Our kind of path forward here is, it touches a lot of aspects. An overview of kind of the marketplace as we have it. We're going to touch on AI. We're going to touch on ad strategies, SEO strategies. We'll get into more practical tips and applications of all that. And then, of course, we always wrap up with our key takeaways. So let's begin by looking at an overview of the education landscape for the year to come. We see these as trending up in 2024 to such a degree that they're going to remain at the top of basically what your strategy activates for the year to come. So in 2025, transparency will continue to be hugely important. Your audience expects honest, straightforward communication. Expects to hear it from relevant sources and not just influencers who you've hired to bring on, but talk to us from the voices of your students, from the voices of your graduates, and that's really going to play a great role in your success in the year to come. Social proof goes toward that 100%. Social proof is essentially anyone going online, typically to social media, to see if what they heard is true. So maybe they got a referral from a friend at a party, or maybe they saw an ad somewhere and they weren't quite sure to click on it, so they wanted to learn more about you. Well, they're going to social media to see the proof, to basically hear from your students, your grads, hear your transparent reflections on what makes you uniquely different from the other schools out there, what makes you worth their consideration. So social proof will remain huge. And that brings us to multi-channel marketing, because you can't just put your social proof on one channel, one platform. It's not just Instagram. It's not just TikTok. Now more than ever, people are everywhere. They're going from TikTok to YouTube to Instagram and back to YouTube Shorts. So it's in no time flat, they've hit multiple platforms, and you need to be active and visible in each one. And then personalization is important as well. That's going to come on down the line when you learn more about their needs, their aspirations, their programs of interest, and their challenges. That's where you really want to begin to talk at a deeper level with your user or your prospect. As they begin to ask more of you, it's important that you ask kind of what they're interested in, where they're coming from, what they need, what they expect, and then talk about how you deliver to exactly those expectations. It's not a surprise that more than 70% of prospective students first engage with your institution via a digital channel. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, just like we were saying before. So this digital first approach is crazy important. We don't recommend that you disregard any other type of marketing, because each of those, in person, any other type of a community-based way that you can reach out to folks, be it in print or broadcast, those can be super useful as well for you. But understand that they're likely going to begin their search to learn more about you or for you altogether online. And as a result, your online presence is going to pay dividends. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Take that to a wider, more global aspect. Because students have easier access to information about institutions worldwide, they have access to so much more information today than they did a year ago, right? So even that's evolving and changing. What this means for you is that you are all targeting the same pool of students. That went from really wide-reaching to really specific in a hurry, and it's quite a wake-up call to understand that you are in a market that's perhaps worldwide, even though you're recruiting locally, domestically. And that's in terms of attention, attraction, bidding for ads. So keep that in mind as you think about in the year to come, what will you be doing to stand out on behalf of your school? That's an important question, one I want you to kind of think on as we go through this session. Your opportunities lie in, among others, these four core elements. Optimize local SEO. As global as we just talked about the market to be, you are where you are, and that is an asset that's unique to you in many ways. Of course, you've got competitors around you, but talk about what you offer in this market that others do not. And it's most important that you participate in and promote community events and really talk about where you are as an asset and as a proud part of your school. So really own that. Use platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube to engage prospects through dynamic video ads and user-generated content. We've talked about UGC a lot this year in our webinars and with our clients. It is definitely a tool that saw a huge increase in 2024 and will continue. It really goes toward that element of relevancy and transparency in 2025, that as people look for you, you need to be moving through video, and your most effective videos are likely going to be generated by your students or your instructors at your request, if possible. We recommend you utilize AI-driven tools like chatbots, or in your CRM, you can engage predictive analytics in some of the more robust systems. This is going to help you to tailor the recruitment journey for your prospective students. We're having, even this morning, conversations with schools that have robust ad campaigns, are getting in lots of leads, and they said, hey, can you help us revise our lead nurture workflow from lead to student? And that's a really important question. It's a very valid way of making everything else more efficient, right? Because you have all these leads, but they're not really worth it to you until they become students. through the work you do and what you communicate in your digital marketing, highlight strong employment prospects in terms of your alumni successes, your industry partnerships, your program specific job placement rates, any of those ultimate benefits to the user. I mean, that's truly what they're looking for, not just I want a diploma, but I want a diploma that's going to get me work, and I want it in a program that is going to more likely get me a job thereafter. And that's a really important opportunity in the year to come. As we do in all our HEM webinars, we ask you questions. We have a few polls for you, and we'd like to know, what's your current focus when creating marketing strategies for prospective students? You can vote anonymously here. Tell us, is it personalizing the messaging to align with student goals? Is it investing in video platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and others? Is it enhancing your SEO strategies like voice optimization, schema markup? Is it utilizing methods our community knows, like email campaigns or brochures? So let us know. You can vote and vote anonymously. I imagine Melody's AI note taker won't be voting. I'm just gonna go out on a limb on that one. So keep your votes coming. We got a few in, and we got one or two left to go. Okay, so we can share now, and we see a majority of you are investing in video platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Reels. That's an important step, and that's a great, so there's not, just to get to the quick here, there is no right answer. There's no wrong answer. And it's interesting to see that a majority of you are jumping toward video and really looking at personalizing your messaging to align with your student goals. That's awesome. And those of you who are taking the steps of optimizing SEO, there's some, old school elements there in terms of SEO has been around a long time, but the voice search optimization, the schema markup, these are important newer steps that are playing a massive role. So good stuff there. Thank you for your engagement. We appreciate that. So let's get into the artificial intelligence, the AI-driven personalization and automation in education marketing. First, we want to talk about some of those email marketing campaigns and consider how AI can help you to personalize these pieces that you send out, which anytime you integrate that AI aspect, you're boosting your likelihood of them to read your email, you're boosting their likelihood of them engaging and becoming a student, making some kind of a purchase and generating revenue. Now, keep in mind, it's the more robust systems that are going to be able to offer you things like Salesforce, HubSpot, Mautic. Those are going to be able to harness AI aspects. And the first step toward making this a reality is to make sure the data you collect is robust and is categorized. So what you want to be doing is storing and managing detailed profiles on your prospective students. You want to make sure you're including whatever demographics you can collect, application status, programs of preference, past interactions. You want to be tracking each and every one of these elements and be able to categorize your leads with buckets under each of those categories. You want to be tracking, of course, your email engagement metrics, nothing new, opens and clicks. You also want to make sure your GA4 is tracking activity so that AI automation can engage based on behavior. So we want to understand, where are they going on your website and how can you categorize based on that activity the next emails that you send out. Integrating with websites to track those actions, especially not just which pages they go to, but what actions they take. So in GA4, it's called your key events. And these are basically the 8 or 12 clicks on your website that are most indicative of a truly interested prospective student. Download a brochure, register for an event, reach out for, set up a meeting or have a member of your team call me, that type of thing. They fill out a form, they click submit. These are the highest indicators of, and this is mostly organic traffic at that core. So it's going to be a relevant lead for you for sure. And then use that data to segment your audiences and to set your CRM to do that dynamically. So dynamically means you're going to be setting up basically drip campaign workflows or campaign workflows so that your CRM can automatically recategorize someone from new lead to interested prospect when they open one of your emails. When they click on a link, they can basically gain prominence in their ability or likelihood to become a student just through any dynamic recategorization that your CRM can do as it's measuring how your users, your audience, how they respond to the things you put out. When you send emails, do they open them? Do they click on them? What do they do after they click on them? So we want to be tracking each of those aspects there. And it takes a little work from you to imagine what that could and should look like based on your, everybody's website is going to play out a little differently, and everybody's kind of lead flow funnel is going to play out a little differently. So think about your school's application of those actions. You want to also consider triggering personalized email campaigns. So trigger-based emails are automated messages sent based on specific student actions or behaviors, much like we talked about. But to give you a more specific idea, if someone goes from lead, so they've been a lead, they've reached out weeks ago and said, please contact me. Maybe you've even spoken with them. That's where things stopped. Consider if they then, let's say today, they start an application on your online application portal. They get about 3 steps in, but then they stop. They kind of save their progress. They do not complete the application. Well, you can set a campaign in your CRM that says anyone who goes into application, but it is not a complete application. So if they're at the application stage, say for more than 3 days or 4 days, you decide the amount of time. You could have, after that time, you could have the system send them an automated email that says, hey, I saw that you started your application, but you haven't completed it yet. Are there any questions we can answer for you along the way? I'm available. Here's a link to click and reconnect. It also could basically just create a small list of high priority leads to call. Nothing better than a phone call directly to say that exact same message I just said. But to offer that in person. So these are the kinds of scenarios you want to look to create and basically have AI carry out the rest of it, right? So it's an informed campaign to that degree. Of course, you want to measure your email campaign effectiveness, monitor those key metrics, open rates, click-through rates, conversion rates, identify the trends by analyzing which emails drive the most responses, and using those AI tools then in those more sophisticated systems, they have predictive analysis that can take that data and help make suggestions for strategy in the future. This is maybe fewer emails or more targeted to a specific program, whichever it may be, but you want to look back at that data and understand what it's telling you about your audience's actions. What is it that you can do in your marketing next year that's more targeted, that's going to initiate more action from them, actually? All right, so now let's shift into digital ad strategies. We're going to begin with a statement of, basically just saying pay per click still matters. There are a lot of people we talk about at schools who are so interested in those fun and splashy video campaigns that are across, multiple platforms, right? They get a lot of eyes, they get a lot of clicks, but that's a given. We've all seen it. We've all been there. You're probably, many of you or all of you are initiating it. What we're trying to say in the future is the leads will truly come from, and the most valuable leads will come from your pay-per-click efforts across search, platforms, across social platforms. Pay-per-click ads are going to show when someone is actively searching in that platform. And remember, people are going to social to do their searches more so than Google anymore. And your ad will come up as a result of that search. What you're doing is placing your ad in front of a prospect at a key decision-making moment. And that's why these hold such value. They cost more, no question about it, but this is the reason why, because when someone clicks on that ad, fills out the form, and indicates their interest, they are already qualified to some degree in terms of their interest. It's based on their initiated search. So they really target messages to the right people at the right time. So as much as the videos are fun to get traffic to your website, do not forget the point that pay-per-click should have in your strategies in the year to come. And of course, in the standard aspect of looking at this is what it looks like on the right. Things that are, we've seen the trend in the past year, and what we expect to go even further into the year to come. Long tail keywords. So it's really important to understand that searches, we're going to talk more about this in a second, are not just 2 or 3 words anymore. They are full thoughts, sentences, sometimes paragraphs. And so longer tail keywords are becoming more valuable for you and delivering more valuable leads for you. And geo-target the ads to focus on specific regions or cities where you want to attract students. A lot of times, some of the core optimizations we do with schools right off the bat is just reducing the wide scope that their ads touch. Because the wider you spread your ads out, the wider you spread your spend, and you're not able to really be visible in all those places, just a little visible in a lot of places. It's more effective to be more visible in a targeted way in markets that you're targeting, you want to be visible in, and that they're going to deliver for you. In your PPC campaigns, you utilize AI and automation tools when it helps. When you think it's going to be effective to get into things like Google Smart Bidding or Facebook Ads Manager, there are a lot of automations that you can toggle on or toggle off. Our recommendation for you is to toggle them on and utilize these automations when you need someone else to do the work with you. If you're a team of one and you also are in charge of volleyball after school and 5 or 6 other things during the course of the week, which is the reality, we know, you might really want to lean into some of these automations. We say that with a degree of caution, that we've seen these automations basically feed you a whole lot of leads because it makes Google and Meta look good. If the automations are on and the leads are going up, the lead count is going up, you and others are more likely to keep that flowing. But what we've seen as a result is those leads are of less value. So they're really just getting leads for lead's sake, whereas what you really want to do is get a better ROI and basically a truly interested prospective student candidate, even if you get just a few. So don't lean too much into these automations. Use them when you really need the help, but we find that your campaigns are more ROI effective when they're not automated. Some elements to avoid in your pay-per-click. Don't go for the overly broad keywords. Again, getting more specific is going to pay off in the long run with a better qualified lead. You really should take advantage of mobile optimization. Just keep in mind a majority of, and I think we could say this across the board for all of you attending, a majority of your prospects are finding you or searching or learning about you from their phones. So you need to be mobile optimized and understand, when's the last time you've really addressed that? What are your options for improving and increasing that? And go there. And then don't forget to refresh your creative. If you have the opportunity, maybe every 2 or 3 months, it depends on your marketplace and your activity with your advertising, but that at least gives you some kind of a benchmark to see if you're able to do that, if you have the resources to be able to do that. Another, really interesting aspect, because there are a lot of flashy, great videos out there, but what we find remains an engaging ad format, and we think will continue to be, is the carousel ad, because it's age old and it's been around forever, but it is effective in that it allows those of you who don't have a whole lot of video assets to create a moving ad, right? So the ad starts, it shifts. In time, I'm communicating three different messages here. I have three different images that can maybe catch their attention to some degree. It really just helps in those simple ways for you to do just that much more toward adding motion to your ad campaigns when maybe initially it's just been static so far. So an old trick can be used new again and be very effective. So we talked about user-generated content ads, UGC, the most effective of which are actually utilizing your students, your grads, even your instructors, to talk about their experience, to talk about what they gained from your school. Again, this goes back to the transparency and ultimately to relevance, right? The ad is talking to them from someone who they can relate to, right? And whose voice they trust, because they're not an administrator. They're not just trying to sell something. They're telling me what their experience was like. So we do recommend that you encourage and invite your students and check to, see your students online, see who are the most engaging, and sign them up to help you with some user-generated content. It's also super effective to engage retargeting if you haven't yet. If you kind of just have been doing the core of dabbling in Meta ads and Google ads, for example, now's a good time to fold in that retargeting, because you've gained a bit of data in terms of who's clicked, who's filled out forms, who hasn't filled out forms. And what a retargeting ad is going to do is, after those campaigns have run for a period of time, it's going to collect that pool of people who may have clicked on your ad but not filled out the form, not completely converted, and it'll replace an ad in front of them. In many cases, I think we talk in the future about retargeting on social platforms where they first saw you. So this is it's just that extra step that helps to make your overall strategy more effective. That bottom data point is significant. 70% increased likelihood of conversion with retargeting ads, re-engaging prospective students. That's huge. So just keep that in mind. When you're going into retargeting ads, here's where we go. We're talking program specific. So that's really going to be most effective if you can be program specific on your initial ad campaigns, and then also in the retargeting campaigns, mentioning the program they initially saw an ad about. Talk about things like scholarship, financial aid. These are things that get ears perked up and would get people engaged to learn more. Video remarketing, of course, is going to just be that added element for, basically to catch their eye. And then what we were talking about before, display ads on Instagram and Facebook or LinkedIn, put them in the social platform, these remarketing ads, retargeting ads, where the person previously engaged with you. So it's a familiar name in a familiar place. We recommend you keep your eye out for emerging platforms. I mean, people are just beginning in some cases to get onto TikTok. It's been around for a few years, but in terms of its mainstream play, it's really flowing now. So, keep an eye out for, and we expect, nothing less than new elements like TikTok to join us in 2025. Some are already emerging and just becoming more mainstream. So as some past leaders in these platforms begin to drop in their popularity, new ones pop up, and that we expect to continue to happen. So keep your eyes open in that regard for sure, because that's where you're going to want to advertise. Let's talk now about SEO, search engine optimization strategies, to gain your organic visibility in these changing search landscapes. before we do, let's do our second poll. I want to ask which SEO strategy do you think will be the most critical for schools in the year to come? Do you think it'll be optimizing for AI-driven search engines? Do you think it will be voice search optimization with conversational keywords? Will it be local SEO to attract students nearby, using schema markup for enhanced search results? Or you're going to fall to all of the above? Are there some of these that really stand out to you? Keep in mind, this is anonymous. It's also a good time to remind you, you will receive in your email tomorrow or Monday the recording of this webinar. You'll get the recording, and you'll also get the slide deck in that email as well. You'll have the opportunity to download the slide deck. Wow, it's top or bottom, so we'll share those results, and it's a tie, right? So half of you think it's optimizing for AI search, and half of you say it's really everything. Not a right or wrong answer here either, although, spoiler alert, it is a little bit of everything. And we're going to talk about AI-driven search engines and being more visible here in a minute. That's going to be super important, as is voice search, as is local SEO, as is adding schema markup. Excuse me. Being visible in organic search, used to be at least a core practice, right, of SEO keywords, keyword implementation, creating content. That remains, but we found that really, and again, it kind of goes toward how are you going to stand out? Because everyone is doing some degree of that. So now it's time for you to be able to stand out. And the more of these you're able to tick off your list, the more you're going to be able to stand out and be visible. Thank you again for voting. So we're talking about this age of the rise in AI-powered search engines. Basically, think about how these operate. They're conversational questions and direct answers. So you basically want to think about, and I really encourage you, if you're not currently using any one of these or any other of the AI large language models that really are talk about gaining visibility and use. Exchange with them, ask questions, let it answer questions, and take note of now it's prompting your second and third questions, right? So take note of the types of questions it's suggesting, the type of answers it's providing. When you look into that, you find that these types of answers are going to provide for you a bit of an outline in terms of how you should have your content in your website. These are high quality, informative summaries, essentially, and they're going to be super useful as web content. They're going to be more likely to be listed here in AI-driven search engines. And there's a real shift from people leaving Google straight out to go more toward truly Gemini or ChatGPT or Perplexity or others. So you want to be in those responses to those queries. In terms of optimizing content here, it's again important to understand how the engines work. They prioritize direct, concise answers to user inquiries. They're summarizing elements, and this bottom element is really helpful. Think about utilizing natural question-based phrases, such as, what are the benefits of studying English in the UK? Instead of study abroad benefits. This is, as we're getting, more specific about what we mean by long tail keywords. And you can write a lot of your content with a few questions in there because people are asking themselves these questions and then providing the answers. In fact, I was having a conversation just last week with a school, and I asked them if they had an FAQ page on their website. And they kind of looked at me with eyes that said, boy, that's, so 2010, that's old stuff. But then when I explained FAQs, the format is very much following a format of an AI large language model search and response, their eyes got a little bigger, like, oh yeah, kind of is, isn't it? So, again, sometimes what's old is new again, or those initial practices were spot on. If you still have it, maybe upgrade it a little bit, expand it. And again, play with those large language models, those AI search groups that allow you to do question, answer, and mimic that in your FAQ section on your website. This now gets us to voice search, because whether it's a search in a search engine or in an AI model, a lot of them, more of them, are being conducted by voice. In fact, over 1 billion voice searches are performed every month. That's a lot, and it's growing. 58% of consumers are using voice search to find local businesses. So it's not just a few people who are doing it over and over and over again. It's so common now, and it's crazy relevant because your prospective students are doing it too. So what this tells us is you want to optimize to be visible here. The first step you can take to optimize your website for voice search is to optimize it for mobile visibility, for mobile, basically, so that it can be more easily opened in mobile, more easily loaded and engaged, and providing those phrases. So again, think of the types of questions someone would ask Siri or Alexa, and ask and answer those questions in your website. And then this is where you get into the use of structured data and schema coding, which allow you to basically put it out on a platform so that those questions and answers are made very clear to the Google bots, and they're easier for you to be featured in structured content, structured data rather. And this gets you visible in what's called SERP, or Search Engine Results Page, features or rich results. With that, we're talking about snippets, featured snippets. We're talking about people also ask. So these are those basic little snippets that arise to the top of your organic answers to your query on search that answer your question straight up. That little featured snippet, that little mini paragraph, 2 sentences that answer the question of your query, that is also going to be how Siri replies back to you. That's what they're going to read in terms of that reply to your voice search. And enhancing local SEO is super important here, because typically those voice searches speak of a location, whether it's near me or in this city. That's typically part of that question. And again, conversational is going to really play out here. Think of it how they're going to ask it, not necessarily how you want to state it. The local aspect here is super important. So you really want to pump up the power of your local visibility. You want to be not only on the map, you want to be on the left side list of what we see here. And the way to really do that is to optimize your Google My Business, first of all. Make sure it is up to date and complete. Think about when's the last time you went into your Google My Business edit and checked, how is my school name written? How's the address written? The phone number, is that relevant and accurate? Website, operating hours. Have I updated with new photos lately? Do we have new program highlights, reviews? Do you have any events coming up that you want to put in there? So this is an important place to go, period. But it is going to have a big impact on your visibility in voice search. And then the second really is more toward those location-specific keywords. It's interesting. I've had an experience when I was in the position of director of marketing and communications for a school, saying the name of the city we were in periodically throughout the website. And I got flack for that by people saying, we all know where we are. And, the takeaway there is, well, the website content isn't necessarily for us. Yes, we know, but this is for everyone else out there who's looking for the right school for their family. And perhaps that right school is in this city. And you want to be attracting folks who are thinking about that city, talking about that city, living in that city. And the best way to make sure that you're visible for that is to fold that into your content periodically, where it fits, where it's relevant. It's an important piece to keep you locally visible. Another great way to optimize your local SEO is to push hard on reviews. Reviews really stand out, especially in your Google My Business profile and across the board. Don't just hope your students review you or graduates. Don't just, encourage them. Flat out ask them to do reviews. And a good time to do that is at the end of a term or at graduation. Basically, and you can do it yourself. You can enlist your instructors to their comfort level. But basically to say, this has been a great year for us. If you've had a great year too, go to Google reviews, go to Facebook reviews, whichever reviews you're leaning into, and review us. Put together a review. That's the best way to get a 3-star to a 4-star or a 4-star to 4.5, etc. Because that invitation at the right time is going to bring action, and it's going to bring more action from people who are happy than those who are grumpy. So going back to rich results and schema markup, I want to show you another way where it really helps you to stand out in search. So first of all, let me define schema markup. This is a coding that you're going to add into your website metadata essentially, but beyond that helps to really categorize all the different aspects of your school and where you fit in. It basically makes it easier for the Google bots to see, read, and then digest and put out in milliseconds, right? The two listings you see here. On the left, we have schema markup. On the right, without. It's a small difference. It's a big difference to have your 4 or 5 stars there when your competitor may not. And this is perhaps where you can stand out. Schema looks like this on the left, right? So I'm not going to give you a coding class now, but really what it looks like in our terms to kind of digest all this, it looks like what you see on the right. It tells the search engine the context of the data. It defines the type of entity you are, a school. It lists the name of the school. It lists the address, the city, the street, the URL, your logo, the description. Those are all the aspects. Of course, they live in your website, but they're in different places and different times. And what this allows you to do is to basically kind of cook it together again for the Google bots to make it simple for them to grab it and put it up in your display as you are an organic result in that search. So you can go to the hyperlink in the bottom right, schema.org, to learn more about what it's like, what it is, how to implement it into your website. You can also invite HEM to do that for you if it's something you're not comfortable with. It's one of the services we offer. Another great resource here is in the bottom left of this slide. So you'll get the slide deck in your email, either Friday or Monday, and click on page 40, Google Structured Data Testing Tool. That will allow you to see how is my website measuring up today as is in terms of providing people also ask or being listed in people also ask or featured snippets, that type of thing. This tool will show you how much you are or are not yet listed. And then you can go to schema.org on the right and to kind of get that in motion. Okay, so let's wrap up with some practical tips. When it comes to your website and social media content and strategy, again, we're kind of pulling back to make sure your content addresses specific queries such as, what can I do with a business degree? How much does it cost for nursing school? A lot of times schools focus on just the questions and answers that set them apart from the competition. That's crazy relevant. So please do that. Continue to do that. But also understand that by including more category specific elements and really more user specific. So it's less about you, the school, and more about them, the user. The more that you can share with them your knowledge of the category and of the marketplace, the more you're going to stand out in the competition, right? So optimize captions, hashtags, bios for relevant keywords, incorporate trending formats, audio, and regularly update your profiles. We go on to talk about making sure your content is mobile first as well. Ensure that it's fast loading, responsive, that it's scannable. You want to design content for vertical formats to fit mobile screens, optimize navigation and CTAs for touch interactions. A lot of times those buttons I'm supposed to be touching on a mobile phone are so small, I can barely, I have to touch, and it takes 3 or 4 tries to make sure I can get through that link. So go through your website and make those measurements. And when it comes into understanding the value of your user-generated content, just encourage your students and alumni to share testimonials, campus life snapshots, success stories. Look for those who are currently doing that. Invite others to do so for you directly. So it's really the most relevant statement on behalf of your school. And lean into your CRM. As AI becomes more and more relevant and more active in our digital marketing tools, that data is going to become more and more important for you. And so that the demographics, the program interest, the application status, the communication history, all of that information about your prospects is going to be more easily filed, categorized, and put to use by your CRM and the systems that can really make things more personal, more targeted for your audience. You don't want them to think that you're wasting their time. You want to write to them with information that's relevant to them, directly relevant to them. It's part of automating your recruitment processes and improving the efficiency of them. Any chance you can, look for your systems to automate repetitive tasks like your follow-ups, your auto replies, event invitations, deadline reminders. Perhaps you got an email reminding you of this webinar a day or so beforehand. That's an important automation that can really be put into work here. And don't underestimate the value of that. It's going to really help you engage those prospects as well, identify and prioritize highly those engaged students. Just an overall kind of approach to the year ahead. Stay agile in this marketplace. It is more rapidly changing today than ever with AI. I was talking, even AI experts who know a whole lot more than many of us, they check AI news daily because they're not sure what's coming up next. They have some ideas, but they don't know exactly what's new and what's live now. So this marketplace demands agility. So be prepared to pivot. Look for emerging trends, platform updates, and also shifting preferences. Audiences might be going in one direction or another. You want to be able to follow them. You want to monitor your campaign performance about every 2 weeks is the right amount to give it some time to acquire some data and some action. And then experiment with new platforms as they come around. Those shifting audience preferences might lead you in that direction. Do what's right for your school, not just what all the people are doing. So make sure it's the right place for your school, for your brand, and just keep a really close ear to industry innovations in that regard. Okay, so as I'm going to let you read through the takeaways as I go to the Q&A section, and we're wrapping up here. So, and I've gone over time again, but there's just a whole lot of information here, and I couldn't go any faster. So I'm going to go to Q&A and see what questions have been popped in. So let me make sure you're aware we offer at HEM to answer your questions personally and directly. So you can really work with us to transform your digital marketing strategy. It can start with just a phone call, some questions. We'll provide answers. You go and take it, take it and run and implement it into your work. Call us again when we can help you to turn it up a notch. Maybe we can provide a service that allows you to focus on what you do best. We can take the rest. We're happy to do that. We work a la carte in that way, and we really can make your online presence grow in such a challenging year ahead. It's going to be easy for you to lose place in your growth. It's going to be easy to just kind of plateau out because there's more competition, there's more platforms, and there's more ways to engage folks. And this is our offer to you to help be a part of your continued growth in the year to come. So that's me and my contact information. Please feel free to reach out. So we'll just go the one question since we're short on time, and it's a doozy. What is the one thing you see that's going to stand out as the big digital headline in 2025? So we got that question as well this morning, and there's no one answer there. If we knew it, we'd tell you. We'd already be telling you the answer to the question. It's such a quickly evolving workspace that there's no telling what is going to be next. What we can safely tell you is that it is going to involve AI, because AI has been going through those really evolutions in leaps and bounds in 2024. We see that they may not be jumping, so frequently in such leaps and bounds, but right now they're kind of going to the point of what can we do that's within our existing activities, what can we do to make it more useful and relevant for you? And every time they say you, they're going to look at a different segment of the world. And in education, they're going to look at education and try to understand how can AI be most relevant and applicable in your real world in marketing, in admissions. That's where I think we'll see things in the year to come, but it's impossible to say exactly what that will take. Thank you for taking the time with us. Appreciate you staying in a little longer than what was originally scheduled. And I hope you have a great holiday time off. And thank you for being with us this afternoon. Hope to talk with you all soon. Goodbye. Have a good afternoon.